All right, y'all. You ever had a workout where you felt untouchable, where everything was just clicking, right? Similar to like your favorite basketball player or athlete is performing their craft, right? Where for me it's Michael Jordan when he's in the zone, when he hit 6 threes against Portland. He even said the basket felt like a big old bucket, like whatever he threw up was gonna go in. Or whether it's Tom Brady, like in a state where whatever pass he threw, the receivers are gonna catch it. That's what you call flow state. You can get it when you're working out as well. You see what I'm saying? But today I'm gonna give you how I'm gonna show you or explain to you the ways that you can get it more consistently and on purpose. You know what I mean? So it won't be by accident. All right. So this topic is based off of the book Flow State. I highly recommend it, especially if you're creative as well. You know what I'm saying? So Mahel Mahali, I can't pronounce his last name, so I'll show the book again so you guys can't make fun of me. He coined the phrase in the 70s, but he described flow state as the complete absorption in a challenging activity where your skills are perfectly matched to the demands of the task and you lose your sense of consciousness and time. All right. And from a neuroscience standpoint, it's very interesting. So when it says when you enter flow, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for self-monitoring, overthinking, second guessing, goes quiet. This is called transient hypofrontality. It's temporary, it's selective, and this is why flow feels frictionless, right? But at the same time, this body is like the best mold, right? So God said, right? It lets off a cocktails of neurochemicals from dopamine, norepinephrine, serotonin, and anandamide, pardon me, and endomorphins all at once, right? So, and it's not really a metaphor. It's just really chemistry, and explains why your best workout feels different, like in a different gear entirely, because it's neurologically, because it is, right? So here's the most important thing that Mahaley, I'm not gonna jack up his last name, identified with flow, right? And it's something most people actually never think about, right? So flow doesn't happen when things are easy or nor when it's too hard, right? It happens when the sweet spot, and that sweet spot is like at the edge of your current ability, right? This is why sometimes people say you got to know the ledge, right? You got to keep pushing your boundaries, right? So when you think about it in this way, you're not getting into flow state doing the same three machines you've been doing for 2 years, right? The same mundane kind of thing because your brain is getting bored, right? And there's no challenge to absorb you. That's the key word. You got to challenge yourself, right? So you're just going through the motions. But on the other end of that, it's not gonna it's not good. You're not gonna get into flow if the lift you're doing is terrifying you, because what it does now is sends your body into survival mode, right? When your anxiety builds up, and that's going to prevent you from absorbing or being present in the moment, right? So flow lives in between those two extremes, right? So it's not when it's when the weight is heavy enough where it demands your full attention, but not so heavy where your nervous system starts to panic. All right. So this is why progressive overload is just not a physical tool; it's a physiological one, right? I like to say it's progressive overload, not aggressive overload, right? So you have to consistently nudge the challenge just ahead of your current skills is the literal recipe for staying in the flow channel for the long time, right? So the tools change, but the fundamentals don't, all right? So the challenge skill balance is the foundation. There are two conditions, right, that Mahaley identified that are critical and that you have direct control over. One is clear goals. You want to have flow requires knowing exactly what you're trying to accomplish in the session, right? So it's not just get a good workout. That's too vague, right? You have to be specific. You have to specify what is it that you're trying to accomplish, okay? Right? Because that's how your nervous system can organize itself around the target. So if you're trying to bench or squat 315, all right, I'm going to do this for X amount of reps. So it requires your full attention and you being present in that moment. Number two is immediate feedback, which is very important. So your brain needs to know in real time whether what you're doing is working. So in fitness, this look like a rep that's solid and that one that's broken down. And it's a split time run. So it's like the mirror, your training partner calling out your form, your heart rate monitor, something like that. Right. Like I tell clients all the time, if you could do it, if you know how to do it correctly one time, you can do it again. And that's why it's called repetition, because you're repeating the movement over and over again. And you can tell if it's off because you know how to connect with it. You see what I'm saying? So when I teach them how to do the hinging motion, right, when you push your hips back, especially in the RDL in the beginning during my assessment, that's a hard movement for them to grasp, most people. But once they get it, they got it. I'm like, all right, now you have to keep practicing it because it's a skill. And if you don't use it, you lose it. All right. So that's a feedback too. Like, oh, I didn't feel it this time. No, I'm feeling this part of my body's hurting instead of this. So you have to make the adjustment. All right. And that's part of the immediate feedback. All right. So when your feedback is clear, immediate and clear, your brain can do the micro adjustments automatically. And the automatic self-correction loop is a huge part of what flow actually feels like from inside. I always tell people that your body talks to you, but you just gotta listen. Your body speaks to you, but you just gotta listen. Right. So when you have a slow, uncertain feedback that interrupts the state, but you want fast and clear feedback, which deepens it. Okay. So now I drop the science for y'all. Peace. Now we're going to do the practical application because we just don't want to be hearers of the word. We want to be doers of the words. All right. So one, you're going to eliminate distractions before you start. Yes, that sounds obvious, but you'll be surprised how many people do not do that. So you want to silence the notifications, put your phone face down or out of reach. Tell people that you're training today, yo, I'm focused. Because flow requires a continuous attention thread. Every interruption breaks it and it costs you time to rebuild it. Two, warm up with intention, not just autopilot, right? So by warming up, it's primes you for the state because now you building focus. You're building yourself to focus progressively, not just scrolling between set. Each warm up set should bring you mentally closer to the work, right? So by the time you hit your first working set, you're already going to be inside your task. Three, align music to the demand. Music is frequency. This is so underrated because there's a science to music. So, but the movie, The Sounds of Music is very good too. I think you should watch that. High tempo, familiar music. Nothing with the lyrics will have you start singing in your head, right? You'll start your own concert looking like Beyonce and think, but you don't want that. Right? You want to support arousal, not without distraction, right? So create a playlist specifically for training. Your brain will start to associate it with that state. Four, you want to define your session target before you walk in. Not in the parking lot, not when you get to the squat rack. Before you get there, write it down. What are you training at? What intensity? And what outcome you trying to have in mind? Specificity primes your brain. Ambiguity kills it before you even start, right? So you got to be clear, focused, right? As mentor of mine say, shout out cousin T, he like stay sharp and mission focused, right? Five, respect the challenge, skill, edge. This is so important, right? So if you haven't progressed your training in weeks, add something, whether it's weight, volume, density, complexity, not recklessly, but intentionally, right? Your brain needs enough challenge to demand full presence. I always say it's called progressive overload, not aggressive overload. All right. So that's how you tap into that, right? So one thing that most fitness content glosses over or they won't tell you that it transfers, right? I always say that it's you ever heard the saying that it's transferable skills, but you also have transferable principles. And this is what I love about fitness because it's a metaphor for real life. Actually, it is like real life because the world is your gym. People going to stress you just like the weights, but how do you handle it? All right. So the same conditions that you could create the flow in training, right? The clear goals, the challenge at the edge of the skills, the immediate feedback, eliminate distractions, are the same conditions that you can use to create flow at work and creative projects and anything that requires your full capacity, right? This is why athletes often describe their training as mentally clarifying. It's just not endomorphins, but it's the skill of absorption, right? That they're building. So it's really a mental architecture for deep focus. All right. And what makes this a compounded return? Every time you engineer a flow in training, you strengthen the neural pathways associated with deep focus and self regulation. right? So you're not just getting physically stronger, you're actually getting mentally stronger, more capable of entering the state on demand in other domains, right? So fitness is alchemy, right? You go into one thing, you come out another. So how you do anything is how you do everything. So everything's connected, all right? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you guys. So when it comes to the gym, a lot of people don't enter flow state. It's not because they're not capable of it. It's just because they haven't engineered the exact conditions that prevented it. You know what I'm saying? So they constantly checking their phone. They don't have no defined goals in mind. It's the same workout for 18 months. You know, conversations in between sets, earbuds in, but attention is scattered. So these are things that are preventing people from actually tapping in, you know, to a higher plane of expression when it comes to workout, right? And it's not, you know, judgment free zone over here, but I'm just talking reality. It's just physics, you know. Flow state demands or is a state of complete absorption, right? So you can't be completely absorbed and have present at the same time. It doesn't go like that. All right. So and another thing too I'll add is that there's a lot of passive entertainment during training. I've been guilty of that as well. Sometimes I have my headphones on, I'm listening to like a podcast on YouTube or whatever, just trying to get through it. But you know, something I'm working on as well. So but when I'm focused, then I can definitely tap in. So don't be saying, but you telling us about flow state. Would you do the same shit too? I say, yeah, Trist did that. So hopefully you don't have to go through that. Right. You know what I mean? So these are things that slows up your flow state. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to compete with it. When you have these things where you don't want to compete with it, you know what I'm saying? Because your attention is fragmented and then you have to keep starting over. So if you want to access your flow, access the state, you have to create the conditions. You know what I'm saying? It's not discipline for discipline's sakes. It's, you know, how your neuroscience works. And it reminds me of the scene in Avatar, The Last Airbender, because you know I'm Team Aang. Korra's alright though, but I'm Aang all the way. But in this third season, where Aang met the lion turtle before his fight with the Fire Lord Ozai, the fire turtle, the lion turtle, pardon me, told him or said to him, before we started bending the elements, we bended the elements within ourselves, right? So everything begins and ends with you. So you have to create the conditions and the reality that you want, but it starts from within. All right. So in my conclusion, flow state is not a personality trait. You're not born with it. Don't think I can't do it, man. Now, yes, you can. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a neurological state with specific conditions which you can control. All right. So stop looking at yourself as an inferior being because you're clearly not. Right. All you need is a clear goal, set edge of challenge, immediate feedback, distraction removed. That's the formula, and that's really alchemy. Right. So that's the way how you transform yourself from lead to gold, right? But I really would like to know in the comments, what was the last time you generally was in the zone? What were you doing, and what do you think you got there? You know what I'm saying? So I read all you guys' comments. I appreciate the engagement, and if you found it useful, you know, like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with someone that you think it resonates with. You know, and if you're looking for a program to get you to point A to point B in your fitness goal, or if it's with macronutrient coaching as well, click the link in the description. We reach out and see if we can work together, you know. And until next time, thank you again. This is Alchemy Fitness, where we transfer you from lead to gold. Train hard, train smart, and train safe. Peace.